Hey y'all, I'm Miss Amy and this is Life After Homeschool Mom. I don't know if you're new here or if you're coming back. Either way, hey, I'm glad to have you. Today we are going to talk about, or I am going to talk about, the jobs that I have now that I have retired from homeschooling and I have started doing other things. Now, I will say I did other things and other jobs the whole time I was homeschooling. That is how I was able to be a quote unquote stay-at-home mom, was that I did little side hustles and things for the whole time that I homeschooled. And then a couple of those have stuck with me after retiring from homeschooling. So I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I do. I will be referring to notes because if you haven't noticed, I need help remembering things. So there you go. All right, so let's get started with this information. So a little bit about my educational background. I did go to a public high school and then I went to a private Christian university in Alabama. I actually went to Samford University in Birmingham, where I got a Bachelor of Arts in vocal performance. I started out with a theater minor, but I ended up not finishing that just so I could go ahead and graduate. If you went to college, you may know how that is because I was ready to get finished by the time I was finishing up. And that's a whole story I'll tell you some other time if you want to know about it. So that's what I did. I got married. I actually got married right before I was supposed to graduate, and I ended up going back to graduate later. And then suddenly I was a wife and a mom, and I was no longer pursuing that education or the things that I wanted to do with that education of music and theater. So I actually ended up dropping out of college actually at the end of my junior year for various reasons. And like I said, I can tell you that story at another time, but I found myself married and pregnant and was not in a place where I could pursue the things that I was going to school for, music and theater. And so you'll find out later what happened with that. Even though I didn't finish it up then, will tell you about that at a later time. So again, as I've told you before, I started homeschooling in 1999 and my last child graduated in 2023. And so these are some of the things that I have done to reinvent myself that I just ended up doing over the years. These are things right now. I'll talk about what I'm currently doing, and a couple of these things I actually started before I finished homeschooling, before I retired from homeschooling. So actually right now I work at a ministry. It's what you call a parachurch ministry. So para means to come alongside. And so we come alongside churches and we help churches fulfill their ministry goals, but we also come alongside people who need help. So we call ourselves a street ministry. We have people from various backgrounds that come to us. We do lots of different ministries there, and it's a place where people from churches can actually come volunteer with us, and it gives them an opportunity to serve the community. So that's kind of cool. Another thing that I am currently doing, I am the educational director at a local dance studio here. I actually started working there when my daughter was still in high school. She has been a part of that dance studio since 2015. Both of my girls grew up dancing, and that's where we ended up. The year that my older daughter graduated, we ended up going to a different dance studio because the dance studio where they had grown up previously was about to shut down. So God showed us where to go and we moved. I actually always say we actually moved to our current studio because my daughter's best friend picked that studio. I don't know why she picked it, but she did, and it turned out that that was the right choice for us, and I'm very happy that I decided to pick the dance studio that her 12-year-old best friend picked at the time. So very thankful for you, Miss Jessie. I'm going to come back to the dance studio in a few minutes, but I just want to finish talking about the other things that I do right now. My most important job is that I keep my grandson during the week. It varies on how many days, depending on what my son and daughter-in-law have going on, when his other grandmother is able to keep him, things like that. So I generally have him 3 days a week. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but generally it's 3 days, and it's my best job. He is the best. I love him so, so much, and it's just fun. He keeps me young, you know? Kids help keep us young. The next thing that I do is, So 2 years ago, I finally started a nonprofit for dance education. It's something I'd wanted to do for a long time, and I kept thinking that I had to do it in a certain kind of way. And then a friend of mine said something that made me realize I didn't have to do it that kind of way. I could just do it however I wanted to. So I just decided I was going to start a nonprofit. I got a couple other friends to be on the board, because you have to have a certain number of people to be able to start a business. And so we started this nonprofit. It helps raise money for dance education. And so that's what I said, I'm going to come back to the dance thing soon. I just want to say how important that I think it is, whether it's dance, sports, whatever the thing is. I really feel like, especially for my kids, and not just my kids, like when we were growing up, like my generation was growing up, I feel like we had things were a lot different. Let me just say it that way. And so I came to this place of believing that my children needed what I call manufactured hardship. So my kids don't have a whole lot of hard things in their life, or didn't growing up, as far as just external circumstances. Now, there's going to be a video coming up soon where we're going to talk about things that did make my kids' lives hard, but that wasn't necessarily external circumstances. Turns out we've got what some friends like to call neurospiciness in our family. And so, yes, that makes life hard for children and for parents. But as far as just having like a lot of stuff from the outside that made life hard, like my kids got to sleep in the mornings. They didn't have to get up and get on a school bus at 7 o'clock in the morning. They had both parents living at home. They had a mom who was cooking lunch for them every day. And of course they had chores and things like that. I just started to see that there were things that we could introduce into our children's lives to make them tough. And I started calling that manufactured hardship. Now everybody says we got to do things to give our kids grit. They got to have grit, so that's the buzzword these days, is grit. So that's what I was saying. When we make life too easy for our kids, they grow up and don't know how to be human beings. And so we as parents need to introduce that into their lives sometimes. And so that's what I feel like extracurriculars do for them. I don't think it should be your whole entire life, or maybe it is, but that is what helped us stick with dance. My youngest daughter ended up competing, and it is hard. Like, it's hard. It's a lot of hard work, and she worked hard to do all those things. And my older daughter worked hard as a dancer. We didn't compete at the studio we were in when they were growing up, but she took, oh my gosh, I don't know how many dance classes a week, 9, 10 classes a week, and she would be in like 8 or 9 dances at recital, and it was hard. She worked really hard to do that. So that's what I mean by manufactured hardship / grit. That's what I wanted to give my children so that they could grow up to be well-rounded people. Okay, I've talked about dance a lot. And so that's why I wanted to start a nonprofit. I believe that children should have the opportunity to do these things, but not everybody can afford to do them. I took dance as a child, but only because my aunt paid for my classes. I would not have been able to do that otherwise. And that's also why I'm able to be a dance teacher now and to direct an education program at a dance studio. So anyway, I started this nonprofit to raise money to help pay for children's dance tuition, competition fees, whatever it may be, whether or not they compete. I wanted to be able to help students pay for dance lessons. So, and then the last thing that I'll talk about is we have an event business. My family, my daughter actually started a floral design business, an event business several years ago. And then she was very busy with school. She was trying to finish up her degree, second child, my older daughter, but second child. And it was just a lot to go to school full time and to work as much as she did and to try to keep a business going. And so that kind of fell by the wayside. And as she started to get closer to finishing up her degree, which she graduated in December, yay! She finished up with a business degree. And so we started a business as a family. It is an event business. It's a floral business. One of the main things we want to do is bachelorette parties, not crazy bachelorette parties. We say girls gone mild kind of parties. And so that's one of the big things that we do. I'm wondering what kind of things that you have done to reinvent yourself. I would love to hear about that in the comments. Just drop me a line. So far, I have responded to every comment that I've gotten. I've been so thankful to have those. So just reach out. I would love to hear from you. Various businesses. So I hope you'll come back. I would love for you to subscribe, and I'd love for us to form a community here on YouTube. I know there's a lot of retired homeschool moms out there or coming close to retiring from homeschool momming, and I would love to hear what y'all are doing. When I was coming close to my homeschool journey ending, I could not find resources, and that's why I wanted to do this. So I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Let me know what kind of things you're planning on doing, and we will talk to you later. Bye.